So today we will talk about quite a big topic: food fortification, additives and adulteration. Okay. So each one of these things, words are important, and the words are commonly confusing. Okay. So let's go first. What is fortification? Fortification basically means, what is fort? Fort means a castle where people are there, like it's a defensive material. So fortification basically means strengthening the quality of food. So as per WHO, the process whereby nutrients are added in foods to maintain or improve the quality of a diet in a community or a population. This is called fortification. That means along with the existing food, you are increasing the strength of the food. That is called food fortification. So this definition, just remember the word fort, war, strengthen. So this is to improve the quality, to strengthen the quality of the diet of a group or a community or a population. So this fortification has got a big history. First it was used in the States during World War II. Then again they fortified bread in 1938 with niacin. And margarine they fortified with vitamin D, and vitamin A and D in India we fortified with vanaspati, okay, or dalda. So basically we are increasing the strength of that particular product by adding something. That is fortification. Then again folic acid was also added to bread to prevent neural birth defects, and commonly we are having now vitamin A, folic acid and iodine. These are the three main things which are used for fortification. So there are certain criteria for fortification. You cannot fortify everything and anything. So for fortification, one of the criteria is there should be a deficiency of that particular thing in the food, and then we add it. Okay. So it's the purpose of preventing or correcting a demonstrated deficiency of one or more nutrients in the population or specific population groups. So unless there's a deficiency of something is lacking, there's no point fortifying. So you have to prove that first that there's a deficiency, and then only you fortify it. So again, this is as per the government, as per the Indian government, what we are doing now is fortification of ICDS services, supplementary cooked food. If you go to an Anganwadi, you'll see that there's cooking, supplementary cooked food there. Fortification of food for the midday meal program, fortification of factory produced ready to eat foods, and fortification of wheat flour supplied through targeted public distribution system. That is basically your ration cards. So these are the ways in which the fortification of food takes place in the government system. So as I said, for fortification, first you need to know there must be a deficiency, and then only you can fortify. That's not the only thing. So these are the common things with which fortification is done. Edible salt, you can add iron and iodine. Whole wheat flour and maida, you add iron, folic acid, calcium, zinc. Rice, you can add iron, folic acid, calcium, zinc. Vegetable oils, you can add vitamin A and D. Milk and dairy products, vitamin A, D, iron, folic acid, calcium, omega-3, fatty acids. ICDS supplementary foods, again iron, folic acid, calcium, zinc, and sugar, vitamin A. So basically you are adding all this to strengthen that the vehicle. Okay. The second thing is, these are the criteria. The deficiency should be widespread, and the vehicle food should be consumed by the target group. Now, if you look at this part, almost everybody consumes salt, right? Is there anybody who does not take salt in some form? Very unlikely. So, a very good strategy to fortify with iron and iodine. Similar rice, we are basically a rice eating population. Of course, there's wheat also. Again, rice, again iron, folic acid, calcium. So, the vehicle food must be consumed by the majority of the population or the target group, and the high consumption of fortified food should not lead to any toxicity. So just by giving excess, suddenly it should not be toxic. And Again, addition of the micronutrient should not just change the taste or the color or the flavor or the texture of the shelf half-life of the item. So when you're adding something, sometimes you say, this is not tasty. This is not tasty because that thing has been added. That should not be the case. If it is, it should be added, the same flavor, the same color, the same texture, and shelf life of the food item also should be maintained. So again, this should be centrally controlled and monitored, and the cost of fortification should be affordable. So these are the basic things regarding fortification. So firstly, you have to prove there's a deficiency. Secondly, that when you're fortifying, that vehicle should be, vehicle means the substance you're adding to, that should be consumed in by a large number of people, and it should be affordable, it should not be toxic, and it should be able to control centrally. Okay. So for arriving at fortification levels, first you need to know what is the national required daily allowance for nutrients, what is the prevalence of deficiency, per capita consumption of food vehicle to be fortified, current dietary habits of the population, stability of the nutrients, and the chemical sources. So all these are important. How much salt do you need? How much vitamins you need? How much calcium you need? How much minerals you need? That is called national requirement daily allowance. Okay, national recommended daily allowance. Then prevalence of deficiency in the region, whether that particular area is deficient in that. Some areas are deficient in some diseases. That is to be seen. Per capita consumption of food vehicle to be fortified, current dietary habits of the population, stability of the nutrient in the food being fortified, and chemical sources. The advantages is that they improves the utilization of several vitamins, certain vitamins like and minerals. Like for example, adding vitamin C helps absorption of iron, and also it providing nutrients through the regular food supply chain reduces the cost. So if you go to a ration shop and you get the food which is already fortified, you don't have to pay extra in the to get it. So whatever you get in the ration shops is already fortified. Or say if you were buying salt which is iodized, you don't have to keep running around looking for where to get iodine. So that is the advantage of providing nutrients to this regular food supply. Okay. So this is one example where in Andhra Pradesh, 2018, the Prime Minister's Office launched the National Nutrition Mission, where staple food fortification is a cost-effective measure to control vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So again in Andhra, rice is mostly consumed, not wheat. So they carry minerals and vitamins, and it is delivered to the most nutritionally vulnerable population through the midday meal, the ICDS scheme, and the public distribution system, which I just told you is basically the ration shops. So midday meal scheme, ICDS scheme, which is the Anganwadis, and the public distribution system. So this was how the thing was working in Andhra Pradesh. So this is a fortified thali. I don't know whether you can see it. Can you see it in the back? Last bench, can you see it? Can you see that last? Let's got a pointer. I'll just go show it to you. This is you're having double fortified salt, fortified milk, fortified oil, fortified rice. Okay. So this is a circular nutrition also called fortified thali. So everything is fortified in this thing. So you have a double fortified salt, fortified rice, fortified wheat flour, fortified oil, and fortified milk. Everything comes under this fortified thali. So examples of fortified foods are milk with vitamin D, salt with iodine, fruit juice with calcium, water or toothpaste with fluoride, flour with folic acid, and bread with niacin. So these are all examples of fortification. They might ask you, give some examples. The commonest one is iodized salt, but then these are other examples: milk with vitamin D, water, toothpaste with fluoride, flour with folic acid, bread with niacin, and fruit juice with calcium. Now come to the next one, that is food additives. Now this is a very long stuff. I mean, you're very familiar with food additives. I mean, normally what we normally do is we take food, but we don't like it when it's plain and simple. But we add color to it, suddenly becomes very interesting. So that is called food additives. So a bit of the history. long time before medicine came or whatever, the ancient people used to add pickles to keep the things fresh. And again, you must have seen your grandmothers or great grandmothers maybe keeping pickles for a long time by putting oil and all stuff like that. So that's the way of processing. Now you have modern food technology. They introduce chemical additives to increase the shelf life of food, improve its taste, and to change its texture or color. So food additives you can put in two categories. First is coloring agents, flavoring agents, which preservatives, acidity imparting agents. These are generally considered safe for human consumption. So this is something which most of us eat. Whenever we buy some food from outside, we normally get some of this. Okay, you get flavoring agents, vanilla essence when you have an ice cream, sweeteners, saccharin, preservatives, sorbic acid, sodium benzoate, acidity imparting agents, citric acid, acetic acid, etc. These are generally considered safe for human consumption, not always. If anything is exceeded, it is not safe. Okay. Second category are contaminants through processing, packing, processing, farming practice, etc. So, like while everything is packed, but there is some contamination, some pesticides have come or some other things have come. That is an unintended food additive, meaning the manufacturer or the producer never intended to do it, but it's landed up. So, but the problem is that uncontrolled use may pose health hazards, and certain preservatives like nitrates and nitrates can lead to production of toxic substances like nitrosamines, which have been implicated in cancer technology, in cancer etiology. So you have, these are the ones direct and indirect. Direct ones, preservatives, coloring agents. Preservatives, you have sorbic acid, sodium benzoate. Coloring agents, you have saffron, turmeric, tartrazine, caramel. Flavoring agents, you have vanilla, cloves, ginger. Sweetening agents, saccharin, aspartame, acetylene, citric acid, benzoic acid. Stabilizing agents, gum, starch. Indirectly, you have pesticides and rodenticides. So, which is why if you don't wash the vegetable clearly, there can be chance that some pesticides or some rodenticides may be there which can cause us. That is indirect food additives. So, these are the same thing. What are they do? They are food, the chemical substances added to processed food to enhance qualities like texture, physical properties, taste, flavor, and to control the spoilage of food and shelf life of the processed food. Okay. So, and also they can be classified in these groups: antioxidants, emulsifiers, preservatives, artificial sweeteners, bulkins, acid regulators, flavor enhancers, and glazing agents. Now, this is very important. All additives are not adulterants. We'll come to the definition of adulteration later, if present within the specific limits. Once exceeded, they become significant adulterants and can cause serious health hazards to the consumer. So, all additives are not adulterants unless there is a reported outbreak of food safety occurs. Okay. So, all additives, whatever you add in food is not an adulterant. Adulterant basically means something which is added to make it a profitable business for the person. But that all additives are not adulterants. This is a common question which is asked in the university exam. So, what are the additives we use? One, what are the problems? Synthetic colors when using for food, they are harmful. Like for example, tartrazine is synthetic yellow. It's called a number E102. It can cause itching, urticaria, runny nose and asthma. Saccharin can also cause urinary bladder cancer in the long run. Nitrates also can cause stomach and gastrointestinal cancers. So most of these additives can cause cancer. Some of these, not almost, some of these can cause cancer. Then you have monosodium glutamate, which I told you last time in my last class, which they add in Chinese food. It causes severe headache, nausea, and occasionally chest tightness, burning sensation, and asthmatic attack. Long-term use can result in damage to brain. Then again, sodium metabisulfate, sulfur dioxide, used in dry fruits, wines and beers to prevent discoloration and spoilage. So then we have preservatives. You added to prevent spoilage due to fungus any food you keep it for a few days in a bottle, it decays. So to prevent spoilage due to fungus, bacteria and microorganisms, they usually found in low-fat spreads, cheese, margarine, mayonnaise, bakery products, dried fruits, and examples of that is sodium benzoate, sodium nitrite, benzoic acid, then BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole, and BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene. So these are the preservatives which can cause problems. Now, sodium benzoate is there in carbonated drinks, pickles, sauces. Side effects: it aggravates asthma, suspected to be neurotoxin, carcinogen, may cause fetal abnormalities, and it worsens hyperactivity. So, this is added to all the cold drinks. Now, don't tell, I mean, I hope all of you will not stop taking cold drinks as a result of this, but this is just a small warning. It aggravates asthma, suspected to be neurotoxin, carcinogen, may cause fetal abnormalities, worsen hyperactivity. So, this is very common in all the cold drinks, tin drinks which you get, bottled or tin drinks, and also in pickles. Then you have sodium nitrate and nitrate, which is put in sausages, hot dogs, smoked fish, canned meat. Again, here nitrite is a carcinogen, it can cause cancer. Nitrate increases this risk of miscarriage, fetal deaths, and birth defects. So, this is again something if you go to the supermarket and you go to the big supermarket, you might find these things. So, be a bit careful. Of course, having a little bit won't cause it, but if you have it on a regular basis for a long time, this can be there. Then benzoic acid in drinks, low sugar products, cereals, they may deplete glycine levels, best to avoid in asthma and in allergies. It can also inhibit digestive function systems. So these are present in low sugar products, cereals, all these packets which you are seeing. Then this is carcinogenic in potato chips, vegetable oils, chewing gum, your BHA or BHT, and it also just interacts with nitrates to form chemicals that may cause changes in the DNA of cells, and it's toxic to CNS and liver. So now you might be saying, sir, why is this? You're showing everything is toxic. Then what do we have? Well, then coloring agents. Coloring agents, as you know, makes it look more attractive, and this is supposed to be the most dangerous additive. Okay, used to color. They are made from tar of petroleum, and they used to color beverages, dessert powders, ice creams, custards. It causes allergies, asthma, hyperactivity. Examples are erythrocin, allura red, tartrazine, brilliant blue. So coloring agents apparently are the most difficult, the most dangerous ones. Then erythrocin, that is red number 3. It's called they use it in cherries, in red fruit cocktail, canned foods for salads, baked foods, dairy products, snack foods. Side effect is cancer. So these are the things which are pretty dangerous. It can cause cancer in the long run. Then tartrazine, which is again yellow, it's found in ice cream, carbonated drinks, fish sticks, cake mixes, squash. Side effects: hyperactivity, asthma, skin rashes, and migraine. Left side, some of you are very fond of ice creams. Don't get scared, but it's again right side again. This canned drinks is the main source for a lot of additives. Okay, so here it can cause hyperactivity, asthma, skin rash, and migraine. Then again, your carbonated drinks, you're having this red stuff. It's not wine or whiskey, just carbonated drink, bubble gum, sauce, soup, and also wine. So whatever that, when you're having a soup also, the bottom side you can see the soup. That is also, the allura red is part of it. Your tomato soup with 2 slices of bread, that is also, it can induce asthma, rhinitis, or urticaria. Okay, these are all the known side effects of these additives. Then brilliant blue, again another one which is used in dairy products, icing, blue raspberry products, hyperactivity, skin rashes, again listed as a human carcinogen. In fact, most of these are listed as human carcinogens. The problem is that you might get scared. What will I take? I take ice cream, I take cold drinks, I take this, I take that. And it causes DNA damage and tumors in animals also. So this is royal blue, sometimes found on the top of your ice cream. Flavoring agents. Now this is for flavoring. That was for color. Now you have flavoring agents like monosodium glutamate, which we talked about, Chinese food, and it's a form of glutamate. This is a common in various other foods. what you have, your chow mein or noodles, very common. Along with that, it's common all these, even the cup of noodles, you have this. Then you have in Pringle, most of the things. Like if you go to your gold canteen, you find many of the stuff over there, which I'm showing you. I have this, okay. But that doesn't mean, but you should check for whether MSG is there or not. MSG, don't take something with MSG because it can cause problems. Headache, nausea. Luckily, this is not, so far it is not proved to be carcinogenic or causing cancer, but it can cause headache, weakness, nausea, altered heart rate, and a burning sensation in the chest and forearms and tightness in the chest. Okay. Another thing is neonatal exposure is linked to stunted growth due to reduction in growth hormone. So, preferably somebody who is pregnant should not take something like this. Okay. Then sweetness. We all like sweets. You add some sweetness to some ordinary food. So again, it produces texture in baked foods, humectants in cakes, lowers the freezing point in ice creams, preservative in jams, adds bulk to baked fruits and strengthen mouthfeel in soft drinks. So the more sweets you add, you get a better feel. It's more tasty, it's more sweet. That's called the mouthfeel. So again, excuse me. Again, these are the food sweeteners. Even your chewing gums are there. You can see your Orbit Extra Eclipse. You have your cornflakes. Many other things are there, which are the food sweeteners are there. Sugar-free chewing gums, drinks, carbonated, non-carbonated, milk-based, alcoholic, breakfast cereals, desserts, fillings and toppings, processed fruit and vegetable products. So all this you have food sweeteners. Okay. So this is something which is a matter of great concern. So what here again, it causes behavioral problems, hyperactivity, allergic and possibly carcinogenic. Advantage is that they allow diabetics to have sugar-free but sweet tasting food. So for diabetics, it's very nice. They're not supposed to take sugar, but they have something which resembles sugar, they take it. But these are the side effects of this. Behavioral problems, hyperactivity, allergies and possibly carcinogenic. Possibly can cause cancer. Not always, but possibly can cause cancer. Then antioxidants, again, this is added to prevent the decay of food. So if you keep something, if you use properly, it can extend the life of the food in which they have been used. Okay. So this again contains BHA and BHT, butylated hydroxyanisole and butylated hydroxytoluene. Again, same thing we find in number of products. You have vegetable oil, meat, fish, poultry, margarine, dairy products, mayonnaise, dressing. So all this stuff which you see on the left side, all that contains antioxidants. And when it finally comes, when you have your fish and chips on the right side, that's also there. In mashed potatoes also you have, when you have your mashed potatoes also, you have this. So this is also a major thing, antioxidants increase the half-life, but these are the problems. And again, hyperactivity, asthma, angioedema, rhinitis, urticaria, it may affect the estrogen levels and has been linked with cancer in animals. So these are some of the common things which are there. Now we've gone to finish the food fortification part. We move on to next one, food adulteration. Now food adulteration is different. Here what is happening is, you are mixing, substituting, removal or concealing the quantity, selling decomposed products, and you are misbranding, giving false labels, addition of toxicants, etc. So this is basically a criminal activity. You are adding or you are removing or you are misleading the people that this is something else. So it is social evil. Okay. Adulteration is a social evil, and disadvantage is what? You are paying low quality, getting a low quality product, but you are paying more money. And also risk of ill health. Example is epidemic dropsy, allergy, gastritis, testicular damage, etc. So here what is happening is, you are mixing with something, not an additive. You are mixing with something or substituting with something, or you are removing something, concealing the quality, selling decomposed products, misbranding, giving false labels, addition of toxicants. This is all for the businessman. addition or subtraction of any food, any substance to or from food, so the natural composition and quality of food is affected. So the same thing we said in the previous, mixing substitution, concealing the quality, putting up decomposed food for sale, misbranding or giving false labels, and addition of toxicants. This is basically a certified, you can say it's a criminal activity. A substance is added which depreciates or injuringly affects it. Any valuable substance has been taken away and it's an imitation of the actual stuff. You're not getting for the money you're putting, you're not getting the worth. And it's colored or otherwise treated to improve its appearance, and for whatever reason, its quality is below standard. So these are the definitions of adulteration, the points for adulteration. Okay. Now, intentional is done for financial gain. You're adding sand, example, sand, marble chips, stones, mud, other filth, talc, chalk powder, water, mineral oil, and harmful colors. Incidental is due to carelessness. You didn't have any problems as such, but you are lacking in proper hygiene, like processing, storage, transportation, marketing. Here what is happening is the adulteration is basically pesticides, rodenticides, droppings of rodents, larvae and in foods. And metallic adulteration due to metals like arsenic, pretty rare. So replacement, addition and removal. Replacement is complete or partial replacement of food ingredient with less expensive substitute with the intention of circumventing the origin. Suppose you say that this thing contains 1 kg of some substance, but you're giving only half kg and the half kg is something else. That is called replacement. Then addition of small quantities of non-authenticated substances to mask inferior quality ingredients. We'll come to the explanation of that. And removal. Removal is you're removing the good quality stuff without the purchaser's knowledge. Okay. Now let's go to a few examples. So he's paying more for the food stuff of low quality, and some form of adulteration can even result in death, like addition of argan oil to mustard oil can cause epidemic dropsy, and adulteration of edible oil with TCP, that is tricrystalline phosphate, can result in paralysis and death. So adulteration is a crime, it's a serious offense. You're adding it for profit, for the benefit of the person selling it, not for the customer. So now let's look at the common stuff. Milk. It can be adulterated with starch, milk powder, urea, formalin. What is and detergent? Health effect is it can cause cancer or acute renal failure. We often see milk is adulterated with water, etc. So what happens? When you add water to it, it increases the milk volume. Say this is 1 liter. I add 1 liter milk, it becomes 2 liters. But it decreases the nutritional value. Then benzoic acid and salicylic acid increases the shelf life, but is linked to asthma. Detergents increases foaming in milk and increases whiteness and thickness, and it causes gastrointestinal renal problems. Urea, it provides whiteness and increases the consistency. It improves solid but not fat. Again, urea adding it overburdens the kidney and may cause renal failure. Formalin, again it increases shelf life but it can cause liver and kidney damage. Starch, it increases quantity but can cause diarrhea, may be fatal for diabetics. So if milk is contaminated by starch, how do you test it? You add a few drops of the iodine, and then if it becomes blue, it means it is adulterated. So if there is no change in color, then it means that milk is pure. But if milk is contaminated, it becomes blue. So this is a simple test for adulteration of milk by starch. Then again, another one, detergent in milk. Take 5 to 10 ml of milk, shake it. If it is adulterated with detergent, on the right side, it forms a dense lather. And on the left side is a pure milk, just a thin foam layer. Okay. This is a very common method. Then again, in ghee, they use ghee essence and they say it's pure ghee. We often see pure ghee everywhere. But this will not solidify like normal ghee, and it will not have that grainy texture. Again, here the effect is cancer or acute renal failure. And you have argan oil again, which is used to adulterate ghee. This causes something which we call as epidemic dropsy, which is a very fatal disease. Again, how can you detect mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes and all? You take 1 spoon of ghee, so-called ghee, add iodine, 2-3 drops, formation of blue color indicates that it is the presence of adulterated mashed potatoes and all. So, simple method, you just add 2-3 drops of tincture of iodine. In the case of pure ghee, there will be no change. In the case of the adulterated one, you will have a beautiful blue color. Then mineral oil is also added to edible. This is the dangerous part. This causes health epidemic dropsy and glaucoma due to argan due to mineral oil. Now, these are mustard seeds. Okay, they resemble very much mustard seeds. These argan seeds. I'll show you that little later. And this causes a lot of problems. So here is both of them look alike. Take small quantities of mustard seeds in a glass plate. Examine visually. Mustard seeds have a smooth surface, and when pressed, it is yellow in color. You press the mustard seeds, it's yellow. But argan seeds have grainy, rough surface. When pressed, it is white in color. So there's a difference between argan and mustard. Both of them look very similar. Argan is very toxic. It can cause epidemic dropsy. Sugar and salt. Again here, the common things are chalk powder, white sand, washing soda, plastic crystals, urea white, etc. And rava suji. Chalk powder is not toxic, but when inhaled for long, it can cause severe respiratory problems. Washing soda causes diarrhea, nausea and vomiting. So you can see how unscrupulous people are adding all this for their benefits, without knowing, maybe knowing or without knowing the possible side effects. Okay. So again, white powder and iodized salt. You add the salt, and then pure salt dissolves completely. Whereas salt which is adulterated, it turns turbid. So okay, so pure salt, because pure white, adulterated, there's some slight turbidity as you can see on the right side. Again, chalk. Dissolve 10 grams in water. If this sugar is mixed with chalk, the adulterant will settle down at the bottom. As you can see, the adulterant is settling down at the bottom, the right side. These are just to show you how adulteration can be detected at your local level. I mean, these are some of the ways. We don't have time for that, unfortunately. Then even tea, your ordinary tea which you have, that also can be adulterated with used tea leaves. It's always best to take tea bags rather than tea leaves. They often adulterate with iron flakes to increase their weight. The chances of adulteration are more if you buy loose tea. Used tea from tea stores is dried in the sun, mixed with coal tar dyes and some amount of genuine tea to give it flavor. Health effects are cancer and tetanus. So here again is a common test for tea. Take a filter paper, spread it, sprinkle with water. Pure tea leaves will not stain the tissue paper. Right side you find the adulterated tea leaves. They are showing a staining. The filter paper will be stained. So this is a way of testing for tea. So everywhere you can see adulteration. There is hardly any food which is not adulterated. Turmeric powder, haldi. Again, this is adulterated with yellow aniline dyes, non-permitted colorants, then your tapioca starch lead bromide powder. Here, yellow aniline dyes can cause cancer, non-permitted colors can cause again cancer, tapioca starch can cause stomach disorders. So here again, we have a number of things which are added to haldi. But again, same thing, you add haldi in a glass of water. Adulterated will show a yellow color while settling down. Natural turmeric will show a light yellow color while settling down. The right side you can see a very strong yellow color. Left side you will see a lighter yellow color. Of course, it's not possible to memorize or remember all this. I'm just showing you this how you can detect at a normal level. So, non-permitted color or permitted food color like metal yellow beyond safe limit can cause allergy, hyperactivity, liver damage, infertility, anemia, cancer and birth defects. Then fish and meat. Now we talked a lot about processed food and blah blah blah. Here we talk about fish. A lot of the fish is mixed with formalin. Okay. to make it, to preserve it. Some of the fish is coming from Andhra or wherever. They are injurious to health. It can cause again cancer, asthma and skin cancers. Unhygienic meat also can cause food infection with fever and chills. And mercury contaminated fish can cause brain damage, paralysis and death. So even in the raw food, we can have toxins. So what are the reasons for food adulteration? Why do people adulterate? Obviously, they need more profits to increase the volume of trade by showing low prices. When supply is less than demand, they're not getting proper food. So they add the existing food, they add something and make it adjusted. To cut down the product cost to meet the market competitive, shortage of authentic ingredients, shortage of qualified personnel, and no updation of processing techniques, inadequate knowledge of the consequences and associated food safety risks. So these are reasons for food fortification. Actually speaking, this was very common in the pre-supermarket days. So pre-supermarket days, there was a small shop, what we call the Kirana shop or Modi ka dukan or whatever. So there you would have sugar, salt, this, all those things. That chap was a local person from the locality for giving everything. So, but once supermarkets have come, you're getting it through a processed, some standard company products or something. So it's less, but previously it was very common. And the thing is, we had Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954. Then again, it was amended in 1964, 76 and 86. This ensures pure food and wholesome food to the customer. Pure and wholesome food to the customer. And it also provides the protects consumers from fraudulent and deceptive trade practices. So this was the original act in 1954, amended thrice, 64, 76 and 86. And here there is also penalty and fine. So if there is a case of proven adulteration, you have to prove it. Then 6 months imprisonment to fine of 1,000, adulteration causing grievous hurt or death, life imprisonment and fine of rupees 5,000. So it is a strict measure, but then proving it is a bit difficult. Nevertheless, this acts as to some extent as a deterrent for doing adulteration. Okay. Then there are a few things which you should know, just the names. One is Codex Alimentarius. This is a principal organ of the Food and Food Authority and WHO Food Standard. This has standards for international markets, and food standards in India are also based on this. So when you're having a, say, potato chips packet, that potato chips packet should be based on some standard. That standard is actually taken from this, based on this Codex Alimentarius. Then you have a PFA standards, Prevention of Food Adulteration, to obtain a minimum level of quality of food stuffs attainable under Indian standards. So attainable under Indian standards. So we cannot do everything what the Western countries do because of certain things like climate or whatever. Then AgMark standards, they give an assurance of quality of food according to standards. And of course you have the ISI mark, it's a guarantee of, supposedly a guarantee of good quality, usually of Indian standards. So this is another question which is asked is FSSAI, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, 2006. It is established under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And this is laying down science-based standards for articles of food and to regulate the manufacture, distribution, sale and import to ensure availability of safe and wholesome water for human consumption. This aims to have a single reference point for all matters relating to food safety and standards by moving from multi-level, multi-department single line of command. So you have only one act, FSSAI, and that consolidates various acts and orders that have hitherto been handled food-related issues. So at the moment you have only one single act, FSSAI, which includes also food adulteration, food fortification, everything. Then the last part of the discussion, which is not there actually in the syllabus, but with the topic allotted to me, but often comes in this, foodborne intoxicants. So you have two important intoxicants, lathyrism, endemic ascites. Then you have botulism and staph poisons due to toxins produced by bacteria. And due to toxins produced by some fungi, you have aflatoxin, ergot and fusarium toxins. So these are the foodborne intoxicants. Common question is asked from here. And you also have foodborne chemical poisoning from fish like mercury, and you have poisons from oil and petroleum and pesticide derivatives. But the question which is asked is this: what is latherism? This is a common question which is asked in university exams, your internal exams, and often asked in the orals also. So what is it? Basically due to the consumption of kesari dal. This is also called theora dal, lag dal, batra, gharas, matra, etc. Diet containing more than 30% dal taken over 2 to 6 months cause neurolatherism. Now this dal is like the other dal, but it was much cheaper. Okay, so it was used by the poor people many years until the government found that it can cause this disease. The government has now banned it, but still it is there in some places. So you have the toxin is beta oxalyl aminoalanine. You have 5 stages. First stage is latent stage. Then you have no stick stage. Then you have 1 stick stage, 2 stick stage, and finally the patient is crawling. Okay. So you have a 5-stage disease. First is the latent stage. He doesn't know about it. Second stage, he is still no stick stage. Third one, the patient is walking with 1 stick. Fourth one, he is walking with 2 sticks. Fifth one, he is crawling. That is the severity of this thing, latherism. So it was once, it's prevalent in Europe and all. Now it's basically India, Bangladesh and Ethiopia. It's a form of irreversible, non-progressive spastic paraparesis associated with poorly understood degenerative changes in spinal cord. So you have paralysis of the limbs, and also the funniest part is that horses also can have it if they consume the dal, which they do. So first, there is only the unsteadiness of gait. The individual only has unsteadiness of gait, he is walking as though he is drunk. Then, no stick stage, he walks but without the help of stick with short jerky paces. Then comes the 1 stick stage, 2 stick stage, and finally crawls. So this is he is walking with 1 stick, he is walking with 2 sticks, and finally he is crawling. So this is neurolatherism. It's caused by BOA and it's caused by consumption of kesari dal. So what is the prevention of this? First is vitamin C prophylaxis, 50 to 1000 milligrams of ascorbic acid, banning the crop, which has been done, but still there are some places where you don't get. Removal of toxin by steeping method, soaking in water for over 2 hours or parboiling, soaking in lime water overnight followed by boiling. Then education. You are educating the people regarding the hazards of taking kesari dal. And genetic approach, selective propagation of lathyrus species with less toxin. This has not been very successful. And socioeconomic changes. Now people have more money, they are not taking kesari dal, but still the poorest of poor people are still taking kesari dal. So these are the ways in which you can control latherism. This is a very common question, what is latherism? And in 61, all the governments banned it except West Bengal. Chhattisgarh also did not ban it after 2000. So 1970s, in the 1970s they faced stringent action like this, burning of standing crops and also seizure of bullocks. Okay, and still, in spite of the ban, it is still available in some markets and is used to adulterate other pulses. So still, kesari dal has not fully been banned. It's still available in some pockets, particularly in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, etc. Maybe in West Bengal also. It's still there. Okay, but it's legally, it's not available. Then comes botulism. Again, this comes from its symptoms are lethargy, weakness, poor feeding, and it comes from home canned foods with low acid content, home canned fish, herb infused oils, baked potatoes in animals for aluminum foil, basically tin food. It occurs in infants 3 to 30 days and children's 12 to 72 hours. This is the incubation period. In infants, it causes lethargy, weakness, poor feeding, constipation, poor head control, etc. In children and adults, it causes double vision, blurred vision, drooping eyelids, slurred speech, difficulty in swallowing, and duration of illness is variable. However, botulism is generally short-lived, but though it can be fatal. Okay. Then aflatoxins. This is again, it's hepatotoxic, caused by Aspergillus flavus, Aspergillus parasiticus, and here Storage of foods, moisture level above 60% favor aflatoxin formation. Here again, you should storage of food grains after drying. That should be done. If contaminated, the food should not be consumed. And health effects regarding toxic effects. So here it's a hepatotoxic and potent carcinogen. So aflatoxin is a hepatotoxic and potent carcinogen. So this affects food grains under conditions of improper storage, and as recent as after 75 also there have been a few deaths. This is an old figure, and it can also cause infantile cirrhosis. So they are saying that it can cause infantile cirrhosis, but most probably it causes liver problems. Okay. Then ergot. Ergot is something which is again Claviceps fusiformis, blackish mass, and here again safe limit is 0.05 milligrams. Acute ergotism causes nausea, vomiting, giddiness and drowsiness. Chronic ergotism causes cramps in the legs and peripheral gangrene. So removal is your hand picking, flotation 20% salt water, air flotation. So these are problems with ergot. Then comes this is the most important, argamon plant and mustard plant. These look very much alike. The only difference is argamon is harvested in May, mustard is in March, and both blackish brown wrinkled. Here it is blackish brown smooth, the flowers, and fallow fields. Here it is cultivated. The canopy does not allow anything to grow underneath it. This is the theory part, but they look very similar, mustard and argamon. In specific gravity of mustard seeds is more than argamon oil. So seeds of argamon will float in normal saline solution. It's not easy for us, for a common person, to understand this, but this is how it's differentiated. And here it causes what is called epidemic dropsy. You have edema. You see the arrows. Arrows are pointing to edema. This is due to argamon poisoning. So here the toxic principle is sanguinary. Here what happens is there is decreased glycogen levels, increased pyruvate levels, it uncouples oxidative phosphorylation, then inhibition of sodium potassium ATPase, and which causes degenerative changes in the heart and can cause cardiac failure. Okay, so that is the pathogenesis of this. The most important thing is there is widespread capillary leak which leads to edema. State of hypovolemia. Capillary proliferation also leads to shortness of breath and hepatomegaly. So the picture here, edema is there. You can see all the pictures showing the edema. And the onset is illness begins with gastroenteric symptoms, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Then there's cutaneous erythema and pigmentation, swelling of hands and feet, respiratory cough, shortness of breath, orthopnea, right heart failure, eyes, retinal hemorrhage and glaucoma. So diagnosis management is basically symptomatic and it's diagnosed by clinical management. Commonly, many members of the family are affected because they are all taking the same thing. And lower socioeconomic groups, the only symptomatic management, diuretics, bio-antioxidants, steroids, vitamins, calcium supplementation and protein-rich diet. Intervention is primary prevention, prevent exposure, secondary prevention, prevent chronic damage, immediate step to control outbreak, prevention of outbreaks in future, health education and mass media. Then again there are tests for testing whether it's argamon, it's mustard oil or argamon. So you have a nitric acid test, non-specific. You have a ferric chloride test also, which is specific. And you also have paper chromatography test, which is more sensitive. So these are, and finally before I end, these are the questions which are asked in the past and which are likely to occur. Adulteration and addition are not the same. Explain. I hope you'll be able to answer this. Yes or no? Second one, explain the difference between food fortification and adulteration, giving suitable examples. Short notes. Epidemic dropsy, lathrism. Again, same thing. All additives are not adulterants. Please explain. Short notes, IDD. Then again, from the previous class I'm taking, what is pasteurization? What is PFA Act? What is FSSAI? Iodization is a salt is example of fortification. Explain. Short-term vitamin A is suitable for prevention of xanophthalmia. Explain. Vitamin A deficiency leads to ocular and extraocular benefits explained. So these are all the things regarding food fortification, food addition and food adulteration. Okay, thank you.